ago, the political lines are being redrawn out there. Joining me now is one man who decided to change parties because he couldn't follow the Democrats down their dark road.
Tricia Cotham is expected to announce she will switch parties from Democrat to Republican.
Former Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard announced she's leaving the Democratic Party and called it an elitist cabal of warmongers.
Democrats dealt another blow. Third lawmaker leaves party, switches to Republican within a month.
Hello, Walkaway family.
My name is Cindy, and I'm a walkaway.
My name is James Carvin.
My name is Heather.
I'm Nancy Gora.
And my name is Christopher Wright.
My name is Justin.
It's Brantley.
I guess we can do a story time.
I'm here to tell you about my walkaway story.
I was a Democrat.
I was a former Democrat.
Why did I leave the Democrat Party?
Let's talk about why I became a Republican and why I walked away from the Democratic Party.
I was probably one of many people who were just brainwashed by the culture.
My parents raised me to believe I was a victim in life, so naturally I became a leftist.
I've been a Democrat since age 0.
I was a Democrat for 30 years.
I'm 80. Born and raised and bred a Democrat.
I was always a Democrat, came from a Democrat family.
I didn't call myself Republican or Democrat.
Usually would vote independent or Democrat.
I also went through a Bernie phase.
My entire family was Democrats.
I used to just go to the polls and I would assume that the Democrats had my best interest in mind. And just check in the D boxes and then go home.
My dad was an immigrant. We believed in God, country, freedom, and independence.
I'm not a rah-rah Republican, but I am interested in the truth.
I asked, what is Democrat and Republican? And I went with Democrat, I think because it was more socially acceptable.
I was homeless and I was living in a shelter. I'm disabled. I'm Hispanic. I check 2 boxes when it comes to their priorities, the people that they feel that they're helpful with.
At that time, the Democrat Party was the party of the working people.
And I was taught, or maybe told at an early age, that Democrats were the party of the little guy, the party of the working man, the party of the downtrodden, the party of people that needed help.
I reached out to the Democrat Party. I was ignored, and I did not want a handout. I wanted a hand up.
My dad had railed against Republicans my entire life.
And Republican basically meant you're a weird, old, grouchy person who's not with it.
And I was also taught that Republicans were the big, bad meanies that only cared about corporations and money.
He had just told me that Republicans only cared about the rich friends. And because that was what he was told.
I was a Black Lives Matter supporter and a supporter of Obama, actually.
I voted left all the time, and I thought Obama was so great, I voted for him twice.
Then when Donald Trump came along and had a sort of populist movement, I felt like, oh, you know what? I think I can actually support him.
I didn't like him at the time.
He's a racist, right? I mean, at least that's what I've seen on the internet.
I looked at him and there's orange man standing there being disrespectful and rude. I'm like, God, this guy is way too immature for the presidency.
The viral videos started to come out of him saying things and compilations and the Mexican rapist thing, and I didn't favor him too well because of that.
My grandmother on my dad's side kept telling me to go do my own research, so I was like, well, sheesh.
I started to get on the train of hating him.
I actually was against Trump at the beginning.
So I did my research like any respectable Democrat would do, right?
I would go into different news shows and I started watching all sides.
I did my research on many things.
The more they started to hate it on him, the more I started to research the guy.
When you just watch one news show, especially when it's corporate media, you aren't getting the facts.
I started questioning what else the media said about him that was false.
You know, they always said the not knowing is what kills you, and that is true.
Started going into Googling things.
And I started to sort of peel back the layers of the onion.
He wasn't just mocking a disabled reporter.
And then, of course, there was the misogyny accusations, white supremacists, and all this nonsense.
Doing some more research.
I really looked into everything they said about him being a racist. I try to find anything online about him, and all the stuff they were saying about him I found it wasn't true.
And then I started looking into other things like global warming.
You can see the lies that should have been obvious.
The more research I started to do on Trump, the more I started to like the guy, even though I was trying my hardest to hate his guts.
When I realized Trump was fighting against the crazy SJW people, I switched to him.
It's like the pendulum is like swinging. It's like, if these people, these crazy people are against Donald Trump, then what does that say about Donald Trump?
First Step Act. This man's amazing.
Listening to conservative viewpoints, and I was shocked to realize that conservative and libertarian beliefs aligned with what I truly believed.
Opportunity zones for businesses. Black businesses are thriving.
I felt like I was being gaslit, and I blamed everybody else except for where it was actually coming from.
They manipulate us into believing that they are the appearance of something, but they aren't those things at all.
But when you just make stuff up, like white supremacists, where on earth does that even come from?
This is where I decided, enough is enough. The party that's supposed to represent the minorities was not there for me. And now I'm not there for them.
Doing even more research. Even my wife had to come out the woodwork and say his Remain in Mexico policy was actually pretty good. I was like, oh damn, my wife came out of nowhere. What the hell?
I started to see how the corporate media was one-sided.
I was getting tired of the gaslighting by the media.
Really drove me crazy about the Democrat Party is that they would outright lie. They would say the tax cuts were for the rich. Well, I was certainly not rich.
It got to the point I was sitting there thinking to myself, I think I might be a Trump supporter.
Also, what really pushed me over the edge was the push for abortions.
When I realized what was going on in the abortion industry, I felt like I was crawling out from under a rock.
I ended up kind of liking Donald Trump.
So I held my nose, and Donald Trump was the very first Republican of any office that I ever voted for in my entire life.
Winning the most unreal, surreal election we have ever seen.
I couldn't believe when Donald Trump won the election. I didn't cry like Brandon Straka did, but I believed all the media hatred.
I rooted for him, and when he did win, it was pretty much the best day of my life, because that world, that crazy world that kept gaslighting me and all that stuff, was on fire. They didn't know what to do.
I did go through many trials and tribulations because I supported President Trump.
So I left the Democratic Party shortly after 2016.
The Democrats had walked away from me.
My ideologies have changed plenty. I was a Democrat for many years, so you could imagine what my ideologies were like.
I've lost friends over it. I've been called a racist. I've been called a Karen.
It was very mean-spirited.
People who were on the right were getting attacked for wearing MAGA hats and all this crazy stuff like that.
Yelled at.
Telling us what we can and can't say or think.
I had to leave my art group because they were being so nasty.
The Democrats are the biggest bullies.
I lost a lot of friends, or separated out from a lot of friends.
I've been chased out of Times Square.
They became tyrannical.
Deplatformed for speaking your mind, or shadow banned, demonetized, etc.
And then I started realizing that a lot of the policies and stuff that the Democrats have were based off of just dividing and hateful and being intolerant.
Called racial slurs, all that stuff, because of my beliefs.
I have been canceled.
This was bigger than what we're seeing.
So much ugliness and deception and hypocrisy.
Had to be something of a spiritual war. And then I started getting closer to God.
I just really learned that you can't trust the Democrats. They're really out for themselves.
Obvious is obvious. That's what's going on here.
So that's why I left. I'm not in the cult. I don't want to be in a cult.
And me being a black man, having a bunch of people telling me that they were marching for me, I felt like I needed to do this research because I was tired of people telling me that they were marching for me when I was very capable of doing all of that for myself.
I started realizing, why am I associating with these people?
These aren't people these aren't your friends.
Once I figured it out, it was game over.
They are power hungry. They're not for the people. They're not for the minorities.
I just could not align myself any longer with the Democrat Party, and that's why I walked away.
So Trump is in office, America is great again,
And then we have elections. And all the experts say if Trump gets 1 million more votes than last time, he'll be president again, 100% sure. And then he gets 12 million more votes, the most votes a sitting president has ever gotten in history. But he loses against Biden? Yeah, right.
And I was getting furious because when it came to the most fundamental thing that a democracy has, which is to vote, and I saw the possibility that our elections were being rigged, then I was very concerned.
When I worked on some of their campaigns, I realized how dirty and sneaky they could be.
You know, what's going on here?
I do believe there was fraud on the 2020 election.
When I saw 2,000 mules, Dinesh D'Souza's arguments seemed very convincing to me.
Woke me up.
They were trying to rig elections since the early 2000s.
And I think we need to get to the bottom of it rather than tell people just to shut up.
I could tell you dirty secrets about what the Democrats are doing to this country.
So I'm very upset what's happened to this country.
This was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to walk away.
That's when I started kind of really questioning everything. Like, hey, am I being lied to? I'm almost certainly being lied to.
And with the Russia hoax stuff, you could tell that was a lie.
That's it, I'm done. Done with the Democrats, done with their lies.
I switched from Democrat to Republican. It was like I should have done it earlier. I just didn't know how to do it.
And it very much bothers me when the so-called president of our country gets up and calls over 75 million people domestic terrorists. Extreme MAGA Republicans. Yeah, okay, whatever.
The MAGA Republicans represented extremism.
What nonsense. MAGA was totally about law and order.
I believe in supporting the police.
And they never hold anybody accountable for their actions on the Democrat side.
There's no equal application of the law going on here. That should be so obvious to anybody with the brain.
And the way the left embraced the government control of every minuscule part of our lives is astounding to me.
And I think a lot of us now see how bad it is.
This committee, this January 6th committee, oh my God. Where was Ray Epps' testimony and all of that? You want people to actually investigate something, or do you just want to continue a political sham?
We still have a lot of people in the brain worm, stranglehold cult ideology that is the Democratic Party.
People really need to learn how to research better.
I know that we're going in the wrong direction for sure.
They're brainwashing our kids in schools, and this is not fake conspiracy theory.
These children's today, they're just cuckoo bananas town, and they're being brainwashed by crazy teachers with an ideological agenda, and it's a big problem.
I mean, people actually think men can be women, and women can be men.
And that's not good.
They think men can get pregnant.
That's crazy.
So that's when I left the Democrat Party.
So that was the turning point for me.
Here I am. I'm no longer a Democrat.
I walked away from the Democrat Party.
You're gonna have to kill me to make me change my mind. You can even jail me if you want to.
And Trump is probably one of the best presidents of my lifetime.
This man is actually doing some shit.
American citizens first.
He did some wonderful things for the country. He secured our border. He fixed some of our taxes.
And I support President Donald Trump for 2024.
You do not realize what the Democrat Party is doing from the outside.
Our only hope is Donald Trump right now.
I'm really happy that I walked away, and I can't imagine ever going back.
And I'm so much more confident, so much happier.
I haven't looked back.
Walking away has really changed me in the most positive way.
Right now, I'm voting Republican because the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And I know that people on the right, they're not bad people. These Republicans have treated me way better than any liberal has.
But I have literally made some of the most intelligent, thought-provoking connections. These people that I'm meeting now online are just amazing.
And there's no way I'll walk back to the Democrat Party at this point in my life, and especially how radicalized and far left they've gotten over time.
And when I came out as a Republican or conservative leaning, went way worse than when I came out as gay on Facebook.
And now the counterculture is conservative family values.
How about to reduce the size of government and get ourselves fiscally conservative, which I'm certainly on board on that.
I believe in our founding fathers and the Constitution.
You're with the right team. You're on the right side of history.
And I had also let go of my ego and my victimhood.
I'm no longer triggered like I used to be.
Also got more conservative over time. That's a normal thing, you know. As people age into their 30s and 40s, they get a little bit more conservative.
I'm completely for freedom of speech.
It's brought me closer to God, which I am eternally grateful for.
I'm so glad that something like Walk Away does exist.
Changed my life in a very positive way.
The Walk Away was literally a lifeboat for me.
I've always found inspiration in all these videos.
I'm glad Walk Away is back.
Thank you very much, Walk Away.
Walk Away is the beginning of it all.
And I hope that you will walk away too.
Wake up and walk away.
And I want to thank Brandon Straka.
Way to go, Brandon. Love you.
Let's pray for our country.
Thanks, folks. Stay safe, stay sane.
Please make your Walk Away testimony.
Thanks so much. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Walk Away.